A very Spanish feel here for the stop number 3 for the WCS circuit as we kick things off from the home of Paella. That's right, we are live from Valencia as we present the WCS circuit stop 3 live from WCS Valencia. A warm welcome around the world, ladies and gentlemen, as we get things going. We have 3 days of awesome StarCraft action coming your way in just a few moments' time. My name is Kyle Laris. I'll be hosting everything throughout the entirety of these 3 days. And we do have joining us to the left-hand side, it is going to be In Control and Todd to begin things off. In Control, excited for Valencia?
You could say that. I think we got great competition here. Neeb with 2 wins under his belt. I think it's becoming an interesting time where it's like, does he go for number 3? Does someone finally stop him? And Spain is awesome. Gorgeous place. Everyone's got a suntan, shaming all of us Swedes and nerds alike. It's been fun.
That's very true. And obviously we have Todd here joining us as well. You excited too?
Of course. You know, from tournament to tournament, we get to follow those WCS standings, and every single time we see the progression of some players, but some consistency starting to build up among some of them. In particular, the 3 guys that I always talk about during the same intro, the 3 guys from Latin America.
Yeah.
Kelazur, Special, and Cham. 2 times already in the top 8, and maybe to make it a 3rd time, and as you've talked about as well, Neeb making America great again, and representing the US of A very well in StarCraft, which hadn't been done in a long time, Jeff.
Yeah, he's dominating. He's at the top of the WCS charts by 3,000 points or whatever. He'll be at BlizzCon, I believe.
Oh, yeah.
In fact, they might have to set up a 2nd seat for him or something like that. He's got a couple spots there, but I'm excited. There's a lot of great players, not just Neeb. You know, Scarlet's back here. Some of these players competed in GSL just a week or 2 ago as well, so they're jet-setting around the world and conquering a lot of players.
Well, we've got a lot to talk about in terms of those players, but for now, of course, we do have along for the ride with us. It is Asus, so they're along with us here for this WCS Valencia journey. A huge shout-out and thanks to them as we continue things for this 3 days. And to the point that you guys were making just before, it feels like America, not just North America, but also South America. If you thought 2 years back, we'd be like, Europe, 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 dominating absolutely, but that's not the case anymore.
Oh, Europe is so in the past. It really is. Like, after England split off from them, and most of Europe just seems kind of more concerned with basically surviving the heat, you know what I mean? But back in America, we're eating good food, okay? We're electing officials, and
you're
we're doing
building
good
super
stuff.
soldiers is what you're doing.
We are.
With Neeb.
We have to. Neeb is the future. We did away with emotion. We did away with all the frills. You know?
We're starting to do that too with souL.
Yeah, souL is the
true.
next generation as well, though. For sure.
Getting down to business as quickly as possible. Speaking of getting down to business, let's check in on how the WCS system works out in terms of the stops that we've had so far, as well as what's to come here. We have 3 group stages for WCS Valencia today. We started out with 76 players as a whole. That gets broken down to 48 players going into group stage number 2. And then from there, 16 of those players will advance on to play against the 16 players from Challenger, Todd. We've already had 2 stops, and there's a very similar pattern kind of eking out here, with Neeb's face appearing twice.
Yeah, it's weird too, because even going to the previous tournament, Neeb, I don't think he was particularly seeing himself as one of the favorites. He rarely does. He wasn't riding that much hype. He had been struggling a little bit in Challenger, because we had 2 Challenger played in a row before major tournament number 2 and 3 took place. And he shows up to the tournament and just kind of dominates, like plays super well. So there is always that question of, can he do it again? But as far as Neeb's concerned, like, sure, it would be cool to answer that question, but at the same time, there's a lot of players out there that would love to be able to make sure that they can make it to the global finals. They have to put in a lot of work for that, because the rest of the rankings or standings is actually very tight.
The kind of interesting element to Valencia is that this is only a few weeks after we were just in Jönköping, so Neeb surprising himself at that level is interesting, but a lot of players went to the grindstone as well and came away from that thinking they need to do more. I know Special has been talking to a lot of the commentators and saying, this is his tournament. He really wants to take it. He knows he's of the level to do that.
Right.
We've been hyping him up since Austin. He definitely has shown that level. Will he be able to capitalize and get that Protoss boogeyman off his back, I think?
That's a big question. That is a big question, because, of course, Neeb, a 2-time champion now here for WCS in the circuit for 2017. And just in case you missed his previous victory at WCS Jönköping, we've got you covered.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, once again to the World Championship Series Jönköping, taking place here in beautiful rural Sweden. That
That's the big Roach Army he was looking for.
I think he's got her here.
Yeah, Laser here just so decisive. And I mean, how do you get up there? The tank's watching the ramp, the production getting destroyed. Calizer needed to make something happen, and he's doing it. GG's called first blood.
Seems like TLO feels like this could very well be his moment, but the extra powerful units of Neeb are showing up there in the back.
Mega decisive play. He pushes TLO, and Neeb will be progressing through.
As we move forward here in the round of 8.
And it looks like a Laser here cutting into Cham's army. Takes him out.
Please welcome on stage, it is Thermal and Kelazar.
Oh no! Thermal's in so much trouble and it springs the attack. And Kelazar wins the rematch and goes on to the round of 4.
And Drogo, unfortunately, is running out of answers, but Cyril, the young Finn with all the hype, takes it.
Your grand finalists, Neeb and Cyril.
These are the 2 best players in this current tournament. Cyril's army has gone down and dwindled. He knows what happens when it goes down to 1-3. It's going to be so hard. Cyril calls it, and the Hydra's dealing so much damage behind this. And Neeb is just losing out right here. GG's called out. We're going to Game 7. Neeb is on top of this base. Everything about it. GG's called out, and Neeb is your WCS Young Chapin champion.
Two-time champion in Neeb here for 2017. A lot of pundits saying that he can potentially go for a 3rd moving forward here. But one thing that kind of was a glaring thing for me, looking at the finals, as I was a bit busy during that tournament, so I had to watch afterwards, is that Cyril was close to actually defeating him in that final, despite Neeb saying that he felt Cyril had a little bit of jitters going into that final.
It's a bit of a nemesis tournament here in Valencia because Cyril, I think, as much as Neeb surprised himself with how well he played, Cyril and Neeb both said they were surprised with how bad Cyril played relative to his skill level. Of course, it still went to Game 7. It was still a great series, but Cyril, especially for the European players, they'll keep telling you he is the scariest player when playing at the highest level. And last tournament, taking 2nd is nice, but again, for a player of that caliber, they want more. So this is going to be really interesting. We've got Special and Cyril both swinging for the fences, so to speak.
Yeah, Special was close twice as well in a row. He lost to Neeb twice, in Austin and then in Jönköping. So I want to see that matchup again. I don't care when it happens, but I want to see it again. And I want to see Special maybe turn the tide a little bit and bring the hits to Neeb even more and take him out.
Yeah, we definitely could see that. Let's check in now with how some of the games have actually gone throughout the first group stage, I should say. Actually, no, I think what we're going to do, before we actually do that, we're going to do something different. We're going to mix it up a little bit.
Look at you go.
There we go. We're going to actually take a look at what has actually been happening over at a LAN center, because we have 16 players from the Challenger that have actually already been practicing and warming up at LAN to get ready for WCS Valencia.
Hey guys, this is Smix and welcome to WCS Valencia 2017. We're currently here at a LAN cafe in beautiful Valencia, Spain, where the players have been warming up in preparation for this big event.
Valencia is great. Like, I love Spain in general. I'm a big fan of Spain. Their food is, in my opinion, the best on the planet.
I like coming to Valencia, especially after last year. Last year I managed to go into the finals, and actually I managed to win without losing a single map for all. So it's hard to, you know, be in the same shape this year than I was last year.
Well, I'm teaching him a race he doesn't play, so it's slow progress. Trust me, I'm a Terran player. Do I need to tell you to build medevacs as well?
You just told me to build Vikings!
I never said the word Viking.
You're the worst coach I've ever seen in my life.
Genuinely.
We're friends. We actually live together, some people in Korea.
It's pretty nice to meet people, because you don't really meet them online, so it's really nice. I've been playing very well for a while now, as I played once in the final stage, and I think it's going to be enough to give me the trophy.
Well, I wouldn't be coming to tournaments if I didn't feel like I can win them. Neeb is not going to win a 3rd tournament in a row. Somebody has to stop him.
Yeah, I think I have what it takes to win Dreamhack Valencia.
That's right, these 16 players from Challenger are awaiting 16 players coming from Group Stage 2. Move it into Group Stage 3. And then from there, we will have our single elimination 16-man bracket to get things going. All of that will be best of 5 while we play out best of 3 groups here. So there's a lot of names in that top 16 challenger, like Special, like StarCraft, who won 2 challenges in a row in very convincing fashion, Jeff, that could be quite easily contenders for this tournament, despite Neeb looking like Neeb.
Yeah, I feel like what Todd said to start off this whole analyst desk is very true. It's consistency. We're in our 3rd WCS event. We're seeing a lot of the same names kind of make it up there. No longer do I think we get to be mega excited about Calazur's surprise skill level. It's pretty well established. He is that good. I'm excited about the consistency. I'm excited about the storyline of the guys that haven't quite toppled Neeb just yet. But I also love in the WCS system how many dark horses come to play. I know that there's some interesting names in this bracket. I think one of the ones that's kind of fallen off this year is Showtime. We've been talking about him as a guy struggling, but yet when playing really well is one of the absolute best. And it really matters how well you play going into BlizzCon at the championship. So it's about now you got to start picking up because we're only a few months away from the WCS championship. It's got to happen soon.
Let me make something very clear here, and mark my words, Showtime's coming back with a vengeance this tournament. I can feel it. I've been talking to him. And
Mark him?
Yes.
How good? How good's he doing? Put your mouth.
Top 4.
Okay.
He's at least going to get top 4. I can feel it in my bones. And by the way, this video here was really cool that we just saw, where Nerchio mentioned that he had a very good run last Valencia. He won the finals 4-0. It's a good reminder that the landscape has changed a lot in StarCraft. That was against Marine Lord back then. Stefano had a deep run, and now you see these guys from Latin America, for example, doing super well that before weren't necessarily doing that well. Massa also last year was like one of the top performers. He's having a little bit of a tougher time this year. You've got strong players emerging, like Samper doing really well this time around. So it's nice to see new faces at the same time. As much as we talk about the consistency of certain players, there is also new faces in this year's WCS.
No, you're right. The Valencia last year was a tournament where Marine Lord stomped his side of the bracket, and then Nerchio in the final just 4-0s him. It was a crazy result. Yeah, he did. He did beat Neeb. I think it was in the round of 8. But anyway, regardless, let's check in with the groups, as we did have group stage number 1 already conclude, and we had a lot of results there. But in usual, I suppose you could call it DreamHack fashion. There was a lot of kind of stomps here and there. Not too many surprises really stood out in this group stage.
Yeah, one actually does. Like, this is the part where we say like all the favorites advanced, but Mana actually left us early here in this tournament.
Oh.
He lost to, I think he was Risky and Hate Me. So Liquid
Both
Mana
players, I think, right?
Yeah. Liquid Mana out in round 1. That's kind of sad, but I guess good on the guys that beat him because they get to continue on and play some more games.
He's Mr. Consistency. He's been playing really well since 2010 when this game first kind of dropped on us. So we'll allow it. I think this might be what, I mean, I'd love some of the fact checkers out there. How many times in group stages this early in the tournament has Mana lost? In my own recollection, granted, it's not super amazing.
Right.
I don't think it's maybe happened once or twice, and those are just me being scientific. I can't remember the last time.
Very rarely. I mean, last 2 years ago, he was a WCS finalist back in Poland. So, yeah, very rarely indeed. But for now, we can go over to Smix, who is over at the stage, and we're almost ready for our first game. Smix, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Calaris. Calaris, by the way, I noticed you pronounce your name Kylaris.
Oh, wow.
Is it Kylaris or Calaris? Have I been pronouncing it wrong?
In England, it's Calaris.
I mean, I didn't say that. That wasn't me.
You cheeky Calaris.
It's changed over the last 7 years. I'm really not sure anymore, Smix, but thanks for noticing.
Well, I'm gonna go straight with Calaris, but of course, I'm so excited to be here in Valencia. The food is absolutely amazing. I had paella for lunch and dinner yesterday, so I think I'm pretty much paella'd out. But of course, we need to talk about our first match of the day. I know you guys have been talking about a lot of these fantastic players. For our first match of the day, it's going to be between DnS and souL. Now, for you guys at the desk, and in case you guys don't know, these two have played each other a few times in the past. souL is currently up 5-1 in terms of head-to-head, and recently he's had a really impressive records in terms of online tournaments. I think he's 14-1 in the past month. He's won like 3 Proxy Tempest Cups, so he's looking in good form. I guess we're not taking a look at those guys anymore. So without further ado, let's introduce our first 2 players of the day. It is DnS and souL.
All right, our first game of the day here for WCS Valencia. DnS going up against souL. souL managed to cruise through his bracket quite convincingly in Group Stage 1.
Yeah.
Did lose a map to Vortex, who is kind of surprisingly here. I suppose he lives on the doorstep, so why on earth not would he be playing? But overall, how do you see this match going? souL is definitely one of the up-and-comers, but DnS is no kind of slouch himself, proving himself in the underdogs tournaments.
Well, I'm still recovering from souL's dad joke there, just leveling everything that I knew and thought to be true. Paid out? Are you, Sue? Come on. Anyways.
That's what she said.
These players, this is interesting. This is what I like about the WCS system. These are two names that for people that are kind of the hardcore fans, you've heard of and seen these guys before. They've been playing some tournaments. They mostly are online. They've shown up DnS a little bit more so. He's doing very well in that French scene, but European scene overall. But souL seems to be the guy that's hit, well, I mean, they're kind of like going back and forth in terms of who can hit the higher level. So this is nice. We're here in Valencia. It's Group Stage 2. Both these guys have a good shot of making out of their group, but this is a big match for them because it's going to be two of usually 3 or 4 very good players at this stage, and both these guys are kind of vying for that. So I'm excited. We're seeing two different new names, and they're making their, it's not quite the super debut of, that's a French word, debut.
Debut.
It's the T is silent. Could be debut, but no, it's debut.
Debut.
Debut. Anyways, beyond that, I'm excited. This is what WCS is meant to show, I think.
I think you've got it perfectly right. Like one thing that if you're not very familiar with these two, that you might not know is that they're both doing really well on ladder a lot of the time. souL was one of the first Europeans to actually hit the 7,000 MMR club, which is a very elite one that's very few have been able to.
It's been a big deal, actually. We used to joke about ladder because I feel like ladder a couple years ago was more of a like, yeah, you practice there, but that didn't indicate that much. Now, if you're 7K, there's like 6 guys in the European ladder that hit that. It's very few.
It's a very stacked group, by the way. I was thinking like souL and DnS, that's already a pretty big match. So I look at the other names in there, and it's actually sort of and risky. So 4 very strong players, I'd say sort of probably the favorites to come out on top, and then maybe souL. But it's very up in the air. Like if it was DnS and risky, I wouldn't be that surprised.
Look at these guys, by the way. We're like really up-and-coming players playing their first offline. One dude's won $10,000, the other guy's won 12. Where was that when I was 12 years old or whatever playing? Like when I was up and coming, I won like $100. Right. Come on. So much money flying around these days.
Back in Brood War. That was a while ago though.
I won a mouse pad.
You did win a mouse pad?
Yeah.
That's good.
Didn't you win like graphic cards and then sold them? It used to be like that, right? There was always like graphic
Circuit
cards.
City gift card when I won WCG.
Circuit City?
$1,000. So like, yeah.
Oh, at least 1,000.
It was good. No, there was money too. It was okay. That was WCG though. I bought a bunch of DVDs. What else? Circuit City like went out of business a week later, so I mean, I had to get something in there. You guys can vote, by the way, and this has been a fun system. But can I want to electrocharge our online people. The voting has been so incredibly stupidly mediocre. Every time they're like, "Who's gonna win?" Whoa, 58 to 42%. That's great. Like, come on,
you want to stomp, is what you're saying.
I want to see some honest opinions out of people that polarize it a little bit more.
Okay, and you can get involved in the chat as well with the hashtag WCS. You can tweet at us and tell us exactly what you're thinking in terms of what results are to come, what results have happened, etc., etc. But looking at DnS versus souL here, souL's one of the Terrans. He's kind of one of the new age Terrans of Europe that's kind of really put himself on the map. But likewise, DnS is no slouch. As I say, we've seen him in underdogs tournaments really going far, but then on the international stage as well, he's making a bit more of a splash consistently.
Yeah, but it's still, everybody's still waiting for him to have a true like breakthrough performance.
Yeah.
Like considering how good he is, I feel like he's definitely has the skill to get something like a top 8 or something in one of those WCS events. He just needs to get it right, play to his best, and maybe get a better draw.
He could be the Semper of Valencia. Semper came out of nowhere, right?
Yeah,
Same thing though. Like Semper is a DnS or you know, like a souL guy where we know of him. He's been playing well online, but it's so different to go to a tournament and to play on stage and play in front of a live audience. Even here is harder, by the way. Just playing your group over there is one thing. There's a lot at stake, but playing in front of an audience like this elevates it to another level.
Considering the group itself, with sort of and risky in there as well, how important is this first match? You're probably going to go up against sort of in your next one, but beyond that,
I love Todd's comment. I mean, sort of is the only player, in my opinion, that's distinguished above these guys, but that doesn't mean he's actually better than these guys.
Right.
They're all about the same level. I would give the slight advantage to sort of maybe DnS, but it's very close. So to lose this series and then to be like, well, I got to win 2 more against guys that are about the same level, not very good odds. It's a tough road to climb. So this is an incredibly important one. Whereas if you win this, then you're facing another Zerg, and you can, you can kind of both risky and sort of doable, I think.
Your thoughts, Todd, on this group?
Yeah, no, I agree, and it's gonna be nice maybe to see Risky as well, in action there, because like we've been waiting for some UK performances here and there. Like, For now, is mostly only known for trash talking puck a little bit, and then playing that one show match that everybody heard about. But other than that, it'd be nice to see some UK results. Yeah, it's been a while, right?
It has. I say it every single time.
StarCraft too.
They had Bling. Bling is now a male model, as I understand it, in Spain. He wears less clothes than he does wear. And then DeMuslim is a male model of sorts too, but more in the streaming world.
Right, right.
He wears less hair than he wears hair, I guess.
And a little less buff.
Oh my God.
Just a little less.
If you look closely.
If you look closely, yeah. You're right, though, because in Britain, the UK, we don't really have many winners. So we kind of just love to be participating, at least. So hopefully Risky's able to...
Come on games, now. Though, right? Just in StarCraft, it's been tough.
Yeah, okay, that's true, that's true.
Yeah, think of some winners that Britain has had. It's...
All right. Well.
We'll go to a break.
Yeah,
come back.
Yeah. I'm sure you'll be able to think
crunch
of
those
something
numbers.
That's for sure. All right, so I think we're almost ready.
Apollo.
Spider-Man?
No, not Apollo, for sure.
Why?
That was like 1995 that he won Command and Conquer.
That was a long time
Spider-Man,
ago.
the actor, Tom Holland or whatever his name is, that's a British guy.
Which Spider-Man is that?
Homecoming, bro, the one that came out like 5 days ago.
I'm not going to watch that. Is it good?
You're off. Where's Nate? Get him back here. Give me the Nate from back there.
All right, we're done. We're done.
Oh, my
It's time for our first series of the day here for WCS Valencia. It's going to be a fun 3 days as we head over to our commentary team to get this StarCraft game started.
Thank you very much, guys. At the desk, don't worry, a man who has an appreciation of good movies is here. I'm Nathanius with Rotterdam to bring you our first series of the day. TVP, Kev? Can't complain?
Looking at those tweets of you this morning, I'm not sure if I would agree with that, Nate, because all you like is superheroes wearing capes and not actually appreciate a good ape movie.
I do not have an appreciation for apes fighting people, Kevin. I am sorry.
You're just wrong, Nate, but that's okay. Something we can agree on is that StarCraft 2 is still the greatest game on planet Earth.
Hell yeah.
We are ready for another weekend of WCS action over here. And I'm happy with this game, man. This is an excellent game to start off group stage number 2, as we're looking already at the main base of our Polish Terran player, one of the very few elite members of that 7K MMR club. It is souL. Young guy.
Super nice guy. Came up to me, introduced himself to me at breakfast at the hotel today. He's like, hey, I'm a friend. I'm excited to play him. Like, wow, this guy's so polite, so quiet. His opponent in the Northeast, our Red Protoss player, he is DnS.
Also a very pleasant young man, I'd say. DnS always friendly, whether he wins or loses in the tournaments. And I feel that DnS is one of those guys that I would compare him to, let's say, a Harstem early 2016, right? Okay. A lot of people gave him credits for being really good, but he just didn't really have the tournament results to back it up. Everybody kept saying one of the best Protosses in Europe. I'm not saying he's better than Showtime or Harstem currently, but like right below that. But we're still kind of waiting for that.
So we just gotta like force a year of DnS meme.
Exactly, something like that. I mean, let's not forget that suddenly last year Harstem finally broke that curse of never really performing at offline events, and he won 2 big offline events, a tournament in Shanghai, the Gold Series, and of course won a Home Story Cup as well. And DnS, well, I'm not sure if he's ready for that much success yet. But I do think that it's time that DnS gets at least like a top 16 at one of those events.
Build up some of that momentum moving forward. And man, this map, I've always found this one to be such a strange one. You have this open natural expansion DnS kind of blocking souL, but I mean, you're Terran, you can kind of build the command center anywhere. It's not a huge deal. The Marine's going to push the probe away.
Still, though, I never mind stuff like this, because look at the money that souL just had. You know, it went up to like almost 500.
It is annoying. It is annoying.
Like, I always get frustrated immediately when I'm like, I should have had this Nexus down, you know, like 20 seconds ago. My entire build is ruined. Because sometimes you delay like supplies as well because you expected Nexus to finish up.
The counter to that is, as a Terran, you know you could just build it anywhere, but you really don't want to. Like, I don't want to build it 2 hexes off because then you have to lift it. But the reactor's on the way. The probe tried to come in to get that second scout to see what's going on. Opening without a Reaper kind of always makes things a little bit weird. You're not 100% sure what's coming your way, but the factory being a bit more quick with the faster Marine production is supposed to compensate.
Yeah, I like this from DnS. We're going to see the Stargate being wiped in, and I think that makes a lot of sense on a map like this because Marine pushes with Cyclones are very effective. And I actually think it's very hard to deal with Cyclones if you don't have Phoenixes. Of course, Immortals are great. I'm not saying that it's Cyclone for sure. It could just be Widowmine, by the way. But if this is a map where we do often see some Cyclone builds, it's actually going to be a Widowmine in production at first. But I think the Stargate is all right. On a small map like that, you can chase away those medevacts. And obviously, there's quite a bit of airspace around the bases here.
Yeah, I mean, opening with Widowmines gives you a very solid way to defend any sort of Oracle play if you're not already out on the map. That the power defensively of the Phoenix that we've seen in this meta of PvT is very strong. So the first Oracle will be built, and assuming that he doesn't fly straight into a Widowmine, he'll have the ability to maybe grab a few units here and there, but most importantly, be able to keep track of this army, throw Revelation when necessary. He only builds one mine and then goes straight into the tech lab, though, so he's not going for multiple Widowmines with this early starport. And he's getting a Viking.
souL taking a note out of Show's old playbook. Never scout. Just expand.
Yeah.
And never scout. I mean, it's a small map. I don't really mind it that much. He's going to send out an SCV now because he wants to see if his opponent maybe goes up to 3 bases incredibly quickly. But we see that DnS is at least going to add 2 more gateways before he decides to do something crazy like that.
This is an interesting setup by souL because you see so many players rush for that medevac, try to do the drop, and then it comes down to whether you can get around the pylon or not get tagged. But by going with this quick Viking into the siege tank, he's setting himself up for maybe a bit of a later push where he gets right up in his face, and the Vikings can help shut down that early Oracle quite a bit without risking anything because he doesn't have to move anything across the map.
I mean, it's safe to say, though, that if DnS keeps his Oracle alive here, this is a pretty solid opening for him because look at the worker tab. He's up 10, 11 workers. Now, obviously, Protoss is always going to be up a couple workers. Spots that those rocks have been hurt as well, or that debris, I should say.
So they have the option to break those rocks down. The cooling tower.
Is it a cooling
over.
tower?
It is a cooling tower.
Oh my god, it is. I didn't recognize it. I don't see any ice, Nate.
It doesn't really look
Global
like
warming is having its effect on StarCraft 2.
It doesn't really look like an air conditioner, you know? So he's going to follow this up with Phoenix as he takes the 3rd base. The army starts to move out for souL, and with that Revelation, he should be more than well aware that this is coming towards him. He has enough energy on his 2nd Oracle to go for another Revelation tag if he feels like he needs it.
This is kind of tricky though for DnS because the 2 Vikings make this a little bit harder for the Oracles to just fly in there. These Adepts obviously don't have resonating glaives. Is he going to shade in immediately? Mothership Core takes a lot of damage. It's not going to go down yet. I think we're going to see DnS commit here.
Yeah, he's moved straight on top of this. The Vikings focus firing down against the first Oracle, but the Adepts are on top of the Marines. The splash damage does not do souL any favors. He cleans up the majority of this, but the Adepts are going to be able to pick out the siege tanks. He can try to land the Vikings on the high ground, but he's not going to get in range of the Stalkers, and DnS is just going to slap this back.
Interesting trade, and obviously say that this went all right for DnS because he keeps quite a few of these Adepts alive, but he did lose both Oracles, the Phoenix and the Mothership Core. Those are some pretty expensive units to lose. Now, of course, a couple of tanks were picked off as well, and DnS is having a pretty commanding worker advantage, 54 against 39.
Yeah.
So I'd call it a success for the Protoss, but it wasn't for nothing.
That 3-base economy is really nice, and as you said, he lost a lot of very expensive gas units versus souL, who mostly just lost those Marines. The Vikings kind of sharking their way across the map can kind of poke against these Phoenix.
Could maybe on power that Stargate.
Yeah, the Vikings, if it comes to it, I mean, I think the Phoenix, if they come back, help defend this much more easily. But the Vikings can hold their own against the Stalkers pretty damn well in their landed form since that patch a long time ago.
That was cute. He tried to put one Viking on top of the other one to mess with the AI of the Stalkers, but
not able to make it happen.
DnS is a marksman. He doesn't miss, Nate.
So Resonating Glaives is on the way. 5 more gateways being added, +1 attack, continuing to trickle the Phoenix count up and up. So a big Adept play is what we're looking at here, Kev?
I think so. It is important for souL that he scouts that there are so many extra gateways going up, because this is that phase in the game where you want to check as a Terran. Is my opponent transitioning into maybe Colossus, or even Disruptors, or Immortals? Or is it just more and more and more Adepts? If it is more Adepts, as a Terran player right now, as boring as it may sound, you don't move out.
Yeah, you have to chill. Yep. Leverage the advantage that you have with supply depots to block the movement of the Adept.
Yep.
Play for positioning. build. I mean, I like to say a lot of Widow Mines, but siege tanks can also be useful in certain cases if they're with the walls. Yeah, the combination of both is totally okay.
And I think bunkers are incredibly important as well, because adepts just suck at killing bunkers. There's no other way to put it.
You can't shade through the bunkers to cause the Terran players' tanks and mines to kill themselves. Does manage to nab a mine barely here.
Wow, well done. He doesn't even lose the Phoenix. Whenever I do that, I lose 2 Phoenixes next.
Oh, look at this. Is he putting the tank right on? I think
that's
the tank's
a bait.
on top of the mine. Yeah, it's bait.
What? No,
Whoa,
no.
whoa.
Hey,
Whoa,
MMA.
whoa.
MMA. You've been gone for a while, okay?
I was gonna say that map was popular, but we're not on that map. Was it test bug?
Yeah,
good times.
3-player map. Nice graphics. My PC could never handle it, but it's all good. Nice snipe there, actually. Gets the Viking, and he should be able to get the medevac as well.
And you know what? That mine was actually moved out of the main. He could probably get even more. These 2 medevacs just finished. What is this?
Repair.
DnS? And he's like, oh, wait, there's no Widow Mine here. Watch you get turn around. He's like, oh, I guess I could just take your mule, take your SCVs. There's nothing here.
4 very expensive units, and now souL is moving out in a moment where I really don't think he should be moving out at all.
He doesn't have...
He lost the
medevacs.
medevacs.
But he doesn't have any medevacs.
He's going to get massacred. This army is going to get absolutely slaughtered by all these adepts.
This is going to be dirty. I see he breaks the cooling tower down. Okay, so he goes for a mine drop backstab. The probes move away. Not able to really get anything just yet. Okay, the Marines are going to try to get these probes or warp in some adepts to deal with that. Wait, DnS is... Okay, he's just going to go across the map. He's not even going to deal with souL's army that's outside of his base. Mothership Core is going to eat that mine shot and die. As the siege allows him, he's working away on 1 gateway.
DnS didn't know that this army was sieged up over here. He had no
he pulls
idea.
back. He pulls back. I think you just shade on top of this. He can kill this very easily.
Yep, this is going to be one of the most one-sided battles that we have seen in quite some time. Phoenix is going to sweep in as well, lift these tanks. Couple of shots do go off, but look at the overwhelming number of adepts.
Good God.
But that harass by souL was excellent, though. Maybe him creating some chaos on the map is what he needed to get more time. These mines still doing work as well. But does souL have enough at home to not die? He's going to counterattack again. This is ballsy play by our Polish Terran.
Does he have enough to defend back at home while this attack hits him, though? With all these medevacs going to the right side, there's nothing here. He's going to try to build a wall to prevent the shades, but his third is forfeit.
Okay, I mean, he's going to lose pretty much all of these SCVs here. But how much damage will souL be able to do in the main? I'm not saying this looks good, but we all know how weird base plates can get against the Terran.
I mean, you drop those Marauders inside those buildings, and those pylons will fall down so fast the production gets cut off for DnS, but the bunker's not quite up yet. There's not a lot of units there to defend. He's trying to get out of Liberators, some more bio. He's focus firing down these pylons. This is the majority of the production. But, oh, wow, he actually can still get the shade through there. Didn't have a depot. Raised on the right side. Look at this. He immediately starts trying to rebuild all these pylons as DnS's supply block down 40+. But the Phoenix, with the Stalkers, go inside of the Natural. So the Natural is being lifted up. souL's going to try to hold on in his main while this big drop hits back towards his Natural.
Can we take a look at the Widow Mine count? This is actually a really good play by souL. So he's still got 6 mines, scrappy scenarios. I think mines are always fantastic because as a Protoss, it's impossible to always look. That is not enough adepts. I would not let this shade finish up. I actually really think that souL is making the best of a very dicey scenario. He's going to be able to clean this up.
Tremendous damage, peeling apart this army that was sent back for DnS as he's in the Natural. And like you said, Kev, he had the Widow Mines back to defend. We do have a Dark Shrine being warped in at the third to try and help a little bit of a Hail Mary toss here to bring things back, but the bio's going to pull away. I guess he can't really run anymore because he doesn't have enough Marines to kill the Phoenix.
But I mean, he bought a lot of time for himself, and he killed an insane amount of probes. 42 probes went down. At least those mines did get finally picked off.
And souL does have units again. Now he's moved back towards his Natural and his third, so he's mining once more.
And he didn't lose a single orbital? Are we seeing this correct?
Yeah, I think he sells all 3 bases.
That is massive. How did that Oracle survive? Oh, excuse me, that Orbital survive? Because
how did he not kill the third base?
That is massive. I actually like souL's position now. He's up by 19 workers, still down in army supply. But souL knows the state of this game. He knows that all he has to do is survive for, let's say, 90 seconds. And from that point on, this should be his game to lose. DnS knows this as well. So this is his Hail Mary play.
Yep, and I love this. He's getting up more and more of these Liberators. We didn't see any... Okay, the first...
souL's moving
he's warping in 4 Dark Templar. Oh, he steps forward and snipes like a sentry there. There's 4 DTs mixed into this army with the 2 Observers to spot everything. He's got the Prism intact.
You got to be careful against those mines. Does he have an Observer here? Yeah, he does, but it's pretty far back.
There's 2 Observers on top of the army.
It's going to shoot it.
Oh, he scanned. He didn't get the Observer, though. And he's going to clear the Widow Mines. He keeps moving forward. He's got the Guardian Shield pop. The Dark Templar are still in the mix of the army, not actually contributing to the fight just yet, but the mines are now out of play. And if he pushes that third back, a Liberator. Wait, 16 probes. Okay, so he was just parked over that base the entire time. Pretty sick.
I love how souL is handling this as well. He's like, all right, I just killed even more workers. You barely have any probes.
DnS has 14 probes that one Liberator sieged up during that entire fight.
Yep. souL's like, I'm going to chill on top of this ramp. If you want to kill me right now, you got to step into these liberation zones.
He's still killing probes back in DnS's base as well. So the Liberators clean up most of what's on the ground. He steps forward. These adepts, a lot of them at orange, yellow health, so not even able to fight at their full capacity.
Nate, I am incredibly impressed by the crisis management of souL in this game. He was in a very rough spot.
This was a terrible start for him.
Yeah. But he's handling this so well. He's handling this like this is any other game of StarCraft 2. But for the first game of the tournament that we actually cast, this is a very hectic, very scrappy game, of course. And normally scrappy games are full of mistakes and bad decisions. But I love how souL has been clawing his way back into this game. That's very impressive.
This has been very, very well orchestrated. I would almost say comeback after his early attack. Did absolutely nothing. Got swallowed alive by those adepts. Now he's going to run over to the third base. He's like, well, I would kill your probes, but you don't really have any. So he can go for the pylons if he wants. DnS going to push up the ramp into the Liberators, into the bunker, into the Widow Mine, and he's going to have a very rough time losing the majority of his army. Can souL push out 1 or 2 more waves of production to deal with this and just hold while he kills everything on the other side of the map?
Yeah, I mean, he does have Phoenixes, so technically he could kill every building.
You can't just lift, yeah.
But does he have an Observer left? Because that missile turret just focused down the Observer. Very well done by souL. I saw him clicking on the Observer with his missile turret. So every mine from this point on, even though there are no mines, but I assume that 1 or 2 mines will be produced. We can see 2 of them. If they burrow, that's going to be incredibly annoying because there is no detection anymore.
Yep, he just needs to get up a little bit of a last stronghold of defense while he tries to kill everything across the map. You know, those are the Marines that have the damage output necessary. The Phoenix are going to come lift up the mines as soon as they pop. Very important with the SCVs also fighting. And he's going to kill off all the Marines here, it looks like. Liberator comes out.
What is this game?
Stalkers are going to blink, and he's not going to get him. Okay, he's using the Liberator to actually fight here.
What?
But his one Marine is in the air, being attacked and being healed at once. So DnS is just... Okay, it looks like souL's going to bring the rest of his forces back. He's not going to try to actually base race.
Can we take a look at base race? Can we take a look at the army of souL? 12 Marines, 3 Marauders against 1 Immortal, 1 Zealot, 5 Stalkers. These Stalkers do have Blink, correct?
Yes.
M+2 attack. Wow, what a game, Nate! This is our first game of the tournament. It's not supposed to be this epic.
Yeah, this is so weird.
That's the Roddy Zealot.
That's how we start. Yeah, that's how we start. And the Roddy Zealot working away in that refinery. Very important job to kill all the buildings. So it's such a weird thing.
Prism as well.
And because all the next eye were destroyed, the buildings for DnS are being revealed to souL. So souL knows that DnS cannot produce anything. So souL was basically coming back here and saying, all I need to do is clean up this army, protect my buildings, and I can just start mining, dropping mules everywhere, and just play for time.
This is
so
going to
they
be
can rebuild and just chew away at this army.
Every unit counts. 1 Phoenix do get picked off there, so that's nice. But a couple of Marines are incredibly low on HP. Obviously, time is on the side of souL.
Look at this random bunker he was able to build over here.
That's very important because that's going to keep him safe. This Warp Prism is going to help out microing a tiny bit. It seems like obviously souL's in a very good position, but can DnS pull off a miracle in our first game of the tournament?
Ooh, eats a couple shots from that bunker. He has to be very careful. We do have that orbital on the left side. He has the ability to mine resources off of those mules. If he can land his orbitals, yeah, then there we go. He can start pulling in that money. His barracks were all floated over to the northwest side of the map. He can produce a couple of Marines at a time if he so chooses. Nothing is in production just yet, though.
And there's quite a bit of money, and obviously there's a mule, so he's going to be able to repair this bunker 4 days. DnS knows that the clock is ticking, and it's pretty much now or never. The longer he waits, the more Marines he has to face, and obviously that's going to be a big problem. He gets 1 Marine for his efforts there, and he's going to force these Marines to come forward. The last Phoenix gets picked off.
The last Phoenix being killed, if he can...
That means that DnS can't win anymore. Because there is that space, right? In the bottom side and on the right side.
And the bottom right, I'm pretty sure he can fly to.
So... worst case scenario, this is a draw for souL, but souL should be able to win this as long as he gets access to a couple of extra Marines.
Yeah, he's building a Liberator and 3 more Marines, and every single Marine in this situation with the medevac support is so important, especially since he can do like a little bit of pickup drop micro versus the Stalkers, not so much the Immortal.
How's that barrier cooldown coming along? But I mean, that's so many Marines being produced. 5 Marines at once, and Liberator being produced as well. DnS is so worried about this Orbitor, he doesn't know about the other one. Good micro by DnS, but...
Barrier just now coming off cooldown again, so he can poke with the Immortal once more if he wishes.
Is he gonna find it? He's gonna find the other base. Oh, this Tox is still on HP! Okay, this
He
is
just,
it.
yeah, he just stims forward. He's going to focus for the rest of these down, and GG will be called souL, taking game number 1 over his French Protoss opponent.
What a fun first game of the tournament, Nate. I can't remember having such a hectic, scrappy game as our very first game.
souL does this very odd, weak push with this tank.
After he just lost all the medevacs and the Viking against those Phoenixes.
Exactly. Those Phoenix run back through. They picked off a lot of very key units. He runs across the map with no medevacs as stim finishes. Naturally gets completely destroyed. And then pulls everything back with the way he used the Widow Mines. And then later on during that big fight outside of his third base, that one Liberator just parked over the third and killed 20 probes.
I mean, the most bizarre thing is after he lost all those units on DNS's side of the map, DNS is like, well, cool, let's run to the other side of the map. souL barely had any units. He's down like 30 supply. He's like, well, I can try to defend and I'm gonna lose. You know what? I'm gonna pick up 3 units full of medevacs and I'm gonna fly to the other side of the map. And he was still being active with Widow Mines as well on the third base. Goes for this massive drop in the main and forces this very awkward, scrappy back and forth game. And eventually, by securing his main, like you said, with those Liberators as well, he's able to produce enough units and turn his game around. Very well done by this young Polish Terran.
I can definitely say that one of the best things to do in a position like that is leverage the advantage of those ramps, right? Because the Liberator, you can only put that circle in one spot. You put it on the ramp, the Protoss has to force the way up, combined with the Widow Mines. And you mentioned as well, having the missile turret in the defensive position to kill the Observer. Once you kill the Observer in a base trade situation, that's when a Protoss is most likely to be reaching for that F2 key, right? Trying to grab the whole army, move everything together.
We never do that, Nate.
Never, ever. And that's why those Observers never fly in missile turrets either.
I have never had 5 Observers with my main army.
The best thing is when a Widow Mine kills 5 Observers together. That's the real dream, Roddy. So it looks like the next map is going to be Sequencer.
Fun map, pretty decent Protoss map, I'd say.
I like it. I mean, there's a lot of choke points on it, right? You've got it's deceivingly big. Running straight across it can be a little bit more dangerous as compared to the last map, which had a very short rush distance. So
it's a lot bigger than Defenders Landing, that's for sure.
Much bigger.
If you guys just joined us, the other 2 players in this group are Risky and StarCraft, 2 excellent Zerg players. Risky obviously having perhaps the upset of the first group stage by being able to defeat Mana, the Polish Protoss, 2-0. So that's going to be fun. This is a very interesting group to keep a close eye on. This game is obviously important, but this is one of these groups where I feel like all 4 players on any given day could technically win and lose against each other. I think maybe on paper you would say DnS and sort of, but obviously some people would be like, oh, souL is higher on the ladder, so maybe you can say souL and sort of. But this is just a very tough group to predict. And this is only the second group stage, Nate. Next group stage, we get all the players from Challenger as well. And that's where you're going to see the Neebs, the Serals, the Scarlets.
And that's where things are going to really ramp up here at WCS Valencia. We are loaded into our second map of our very first best of 3 of the day. Spawning in the top right position of Sequencer, we have the blue Terran player. He is souL.
He looks really calm for winning such a game. If I would win a game like that, even if it was a ladder game, Nate, I'd be jumping around and pouring champagne for myself.
That is one of those games you are sweating it, Roddy, the entire way through. His opponent in the bottom left currently trailing 0-1. We have the red Protoss player. He's DnS.
Doesn't look two-faced either. I guess if you play more and more tournaments, you learn to forget about games like that. Obviously, DnS is aware that he was in an excellent position. Not only shutting down that first push where he lost the Oracles, but he killed everything else. But being able to shut down that second push convincingly, I think that DnS knows that that was his game to lose, but perhaps got a little bit overeager and forgot about the age-old rule that the best defense is sometimes offense. And that's what souL went for.
Yeah, the map, I think, has a pretty interesting impact on that with how fast you can get across, with the way that the positionings work. I feel Sequencer is a map where you see some other weird stuff, and we are going to see something very odd this game.
Yep.
But the bigger size of it kind of makes some of those wonky counterattacks and pushes a bit more difficult to do. So he's going to play with the size of the map.
Yeah.
build that factory on the other side and just be like, oh, hey, I'm doing the same thing as last game, you know? Just open it with a Marine, I'm going to expand, yada, yada.
I really love what souL is doing here, and I love what DnS is doing here. DnS really wants to see, he's like, are you ever going to build that command center or what? He's like, I wasn't born last night. I know the timing here ain't right, Nate. And souL is like, no, I really wanted to, but you blocked me, man. And then DnS is like, no, I actually really wasn't.
Your pro blocked my command center, so I couldn't build it. He's like, well, I wasn't really trying to do that this time.
I wasn't really blocking you anymore. So I think that DnS knows something ain't right. Obviously, if you can somehow get a sneak peek on the CC here, this Marine is also awfully far forward. I think that DnS knows, but is he going to be able to scout it in time, though? It's going to be a Cyclone being produced, by the way.
It's so scary because there's a Protoss
look
player.
At the probe. Look at the probe. Look at the probe. Oh? The probe in the middle of the map. Guys, Coca. Yeah.
Is he going to find it?
This must be Coca. Just kidding. We have got two fantastic observers here, both Coca and Funka. And this probe is going to find the factory.
A cheeky proxy Cyclone being pumped out as it has just finished. And I was going to say, as a Protoss, you can't be too sure because sometimes when you delay that command center, the Terran will just build it in their main base, and you will be like, well, I don't actually know if you built it or not. So making this scout very important. Go straight for the medevac. A second Cyclone, so a little bit of drop shenanigans, maybe to get around the pylons at the front to avoid the overcharge.
He's going to bring the Marines as well, so it's just for healing power too. Like, that is possible, but it's also very risky. Sometimes players do it, though. Those adepts didn't shade out, right? That would be crazy. So this is going to be very fun. I like the second pylon by DnS. It's incredibly important. And the way that he's going to time his overcharges is really important as well. This is a gnarly push because there's an SCV in the mix as well. And that one SCV can repair the Cyclones. And that is very annoying. One adept is going to get picked off here.
Very quick. Well, it's a lot of damage being put on, and he can fight against that pylon overcharge a good bit, baiting out the energy of the mothership core. He's going to go to the right side. Those adapts, but their shields being mitigated. He can also focus fire down the building pylon. He can focus down the probes. He's got a lot that he can do with these Cyclones and this medevac to micro around.
Yep, a couple of probes going down, that's all right. Obviously, the expansion
he brings in the Marines.
He's going to bring the Marines. That Phoenix is really important. Now we see these Marines being dropped. Both Cyclones. Cyclone actually in range of overcharge. That was massive for DnS. If DnS holds, it's because he was just able to pick off one Cyclone there.
Yeah, and that SCV he brought in, not able to get a whole lot done here. I feel like dancing around that pylon. I feel like if he had killed that pylon on the right side as he came in, it gives a little bit more potential to this, but he's going to be able to clean this up now. There's not a whole lot left to do as that Cyclone's very low on hit points. Does grab the mothership core, though, and the Stalkers will be able to clean up the Cyclone. He's building two command centers behind this because as a Terran player, what else are you going to do?
Yep. I still like this, of course, for DnS, because whenever a Terran opens up like this, not only are his buildings on the other side of the map, this also means that Stim is going to be much later. And if Stim is much later, what I would really like to see from DnS, I mean, he's moving out, this is a little bit risky. Is the Phoenix still at home? Because that Liberator could cause a lot of damage. But if he just makes a lot of Phoenixes now, Nate, I think he can do a tremendous amount of economic damage because there is no Stim.
There's no way to really chase the Phoenix, right? He can only try to plant Widow Mines semi-randomly and hope that they fly into them, which, I mean, that's not guaranteed.
This push is going to do a lot of damage. Is there a bunker for souL? I mean, this Liberator is super annoying. Don't get me wrong. There's no pylon here. Phoenix out of position. But the bunker wasn't done yet. So souL is going to be forced to be back to one base for a while. Obviously, DnS losing 6 probes is a little bit
probes are getting pulverized, Roddy.
I've heard that line before, Nate.
That's not always the fun one to hear. The natural expansion for souL is being completely destroyed, though. They should be able to kill this orbital command. He's trying to bring everything down the main ramp, but it's too little, too late. Wow. That base is gone. 3 adepts get warped in. 12 probes were killed on the other side of the map. So the worker count is surprisingly even, and he did try to go for that third CC, so he has a base he can float out.
He's just not letting that bunker finish. The bunker does finally finish up, not before a couple of SCVs went down. Obviously, there is another CC in the main of souL. Let's take a look at the natural of DnS. What happened in the natural? Was there another Widow Mines? All
that
right.
mine, though.
Oh my God.
No.
What? 17 kills on a Widow Mine? Nate.
Nice.
Pulverized?
For sure. So Stim is on the way.
You're kidding. This is not actually happening, right?
Oh, it throws the grenade on the Stalkers.
This game was pretty much
DnS
over.
throw 2 games in a row, Kev.
Oh, my God.
Pretty sick game here for souL, because everything that could have gone wrong just about did again.
Another mine?
No, okay. I was going to say, if the mine hit that adept and splash killed the observer, that's just...
Well, this mine is going to shoot. Oh, it's going to get the probe and the ops.
Up. Okay, just one.
At least DnS was aware of that. But this is not good. Look at DnS economy.
24 probes.
It's in shambles.
And there's no sentries here to block this down, so Stim is still pretty far.
Yeah, but Terran is up 7 workers, Nate. I mean, obviously, he's only mining of one base.
The most that he can do is try to hold him in that one base as long as possible. But that's not an army that can really fight against this, like I said, without observers. So yeah, he's going to come down. He's got the medevac to support. He just plants down the bunker, starts mining, and he's way ahead.
Yep. Those Phoenixes were scared. It's like, we made a mistake. It's like, sorry, STV, we really meant no harm over here. Mr. going down, double drop being loaded in here for SouL. He's going to send to the left side. There is something for DnS.
There's a pylon on the left side, so it will see the medevacs.
I would just unload now if I was SouL and kill the pylon.
Just kill it. Kill the pylon. The Phoenix come up. They peel the SCVs off of the east geyser in the main base, but not a huge concern. SouL has 700 gas in the bank.
Why wouldn't you say it's the south geyser?
I mean, it's still technically the east geyser, Kev.
Why?
Because it's to the east.
But it's on the south side of the orbital.
That's true, but it's also to the east of the orbital.
Maybe we can call it the southeast geyser.
Okay.
Or a refinery. All right, there's a double drop flying into the main of DnS. There is no pylon here, no mothership core available either, I believe, to overcharge.
Oh my God.
DnS, how many probes did DnS lose in this game?
Stimmed Marines are beautiful. They are a sight to behold, Roddy. He has no production now because he's cut off like half the gateways, or at least all the gateways in the main base. I don't even think he has any other ones.
Coming in from the north side.
Yeah, that's all his production. He actually can't build units except for that robotics facility.
SouL should unload immediately. Unloads a little bit late. Maybe one medevac gets picked off. Not yet. I mean, this is just not a game you want to be in right now if you're DnS.
Yep. He finishes the Twilight. He starts up Blink, but that is so far away. And I guess with the units that he has here, he can force him to eventually like go back in the main base or kill this or this. But look, he can get the pylon again if he wants. He can focus fire that down, delay the production even more if he picks it off.
Lifting a bunch of Marines, but not before 5, 6, 7 probes are going to fall once again. Even on powering all the gates with those 2 last Marauders.
Yep.
SouL is just hating probes this
Insult
series.
to injury. And imagine if he had focused that pylon down one more time. So 8 probes in total killed. Blink is about 1/3 of the way done. He does have the 3rd Nexus, but 29 probes to 42 SCVs and mules. Oh, that income graph.
This is a very fun series, incredibly scrappy, but SouL is showing us that he does not fold under pressure. In both games, he was in a very dicey scenario, but he turned it around, and now I think it's safe to say he's in a commanding lead. How often, 9 minutes, 10 minutes into a game, do you see Terran up 8 workers? That's where you know something has gone very, very well for you.
This is an amazing position for me. These Marines coming across the map, the observer sees it. He's like, okay, well, I've got a lot of gateway units.
And +1 as well against no upgrades.
It doesn't really have the upgrades that he needs. Like, Blink will be nice, but Resonating Glaives against the Marines would definitely help a little bit more. Like, the Stalkers are just going to try to jump on top of this, I guess.
It's really important that DnS always fights with a Guardian Shield. If he doesn't pop Guardian Shield, I think he's going to have a very hard time. The Sentry actually gets focus fire down immediately, at least one of them, but he does drop some good force fields.
He has a few more sentries to work with. The Phoenix are sharking around the left side, trying to catch perhaps another drop that might go with this. There are 2 medevacs on the west side.
Yeah, it's going through the middle. That's actually quite smart because the Phoenixes are guarding the left side.
If he had gone for the main, the Phoenix would have hit him, but this gives him the opportunity from 2 spots at once. Maybe he forces a blink out of the Stalkers.
But then he's going to be exposed on the right side. DnS knows it as well, though. He's going to blink forward. DnS, your probes.
At this point, those 7 probes are so valuable because now he's back down to 37. Brutal harass out of SouL now.
Is that like 57 probes down so far in this game?
A lot of probes have died this game. 58 probes killed so far, Roddy.
Nice micro there, at least on the Guardian Shield and the sentries. He saves them. He's able to pick off all those Marines, but losing those workers still made this a success for SouL. Maybe if DnS can pick off these 2 medevacs, 1 empty medevac is going to be the distraction.
Wow. Goes for the bait. He goes for the bait.
Oh
and that'll open things up for this medevac to slip its way into the main. Now, there is a mothership core there. He has the ability to pylon overcharge if he drops it before he reacts, though, or just goes to the south side where there's nothing.
This is ridiculous.
Oh, no! 10 probes picked off by the Widowmine as the Marines are still just chilling and they pick off 1 or 2 of these Phoenix, but he got his money's worth out of that drop.
I love it. The setup with the empty medevac.
The beta-vac on the right side, the mine drop on the left. That is disgusting.
SouL is making fans with this single series. This is awesome to watch, Nate. I don't think we've ever had this much fun casting our very first best of 3 of in this.
This is supposed to be the slow stage of the tournament, but we're getting our fill here on the action.
It's ridiculous. I mean, souL still in a great position. DnS still building workers, trying to recover. He does have a Forge, +1 did finish up. As long as he doesn't fall too far behind in the upgrades, I say it's still a playable game, but right now 1-1 against 1-0, that's normally not a situation you want to be in as a Protoss.
Yeah, and he's getting the follow-up down pat, right? He's going for double Liberator production. He's getting his armory to move further forward with those upgrades.
Is there anything here protecting this mineral? I know there's not, so I love this by DnS, finally striking back.
And he's got a Resident Glaives finished now, too, so those SCVs are in a heap of trouble with that +1 attack being done on those Adepts. Handful of Marines will come over, but that is not enough.
And he pulls the entire army back as well, so he's not only dealing economic damage, he's buying time for himself, and this is what DnS really needs to do right now as well.
Yep, he just has to hold it together for a little bit longer. The Robotics Bay is coming in with +2 attack for DnS as he cranks out those probes. He is at a 6-worker advantage at the moment, so he's pushed himself forward just a little bit. And these Adepts are looking for another shot, but not going to be able to get it.
Should have let one Adept finish up for some friendly
Bait
fire.
that mine into all those stacked SCVs.
86 army supply against 76, a very difficult hold here, but maybe with some good force fields and a Guardian Shield.
It is a big army. He just needs to be cautious of the Liberators. The Observer sees everything, by the way. On the tail end of that Bio army, there is an Observer that sees it all, and he knows to move the Adepts back in. They do get cleaned up, but DnS should be very aware of this army's positioning. The Liberators are going to start to siege on the ramp, though.
I'm going to move back now for DnS. This is very difficult to engage this Terran army. First Disruptor is on the way. A Disruptor and a Dream Nade. Can he put 5 on it? That's the big question.
He's going to need some M-canning disruptors to pull himself out of this one, Roddy, as the Liberators continue to siege forward. And I like this, being very patient. He knows it's not a matter of rushing it at this point. It's just slowly inching forward with those Liberators until he has to engage. There goes the... Nope.
That's the mine. One mine, at least. It's obviously not the dream shot, but...
And he's peeling shots off on these Stalkers, too. And this is the part where he's going to separate the bases. He has to take the fight. Guardian Shield does get popped. The Phoenix move in, but the Liberators unleash hellfire onto this Protoss force. And another one's going to move forward. Here we go. This is the Liberator zone that cuts the base off. He needs to deal with this. The Disruptor's going to shoot and just barely get 2 Marauders.
Yeah, that's not too bad. The other middle line's very exposed, though. Forward blink. This is it for DnS.
Oh, he loaded up one of his medevacs on accident during the middle of that fight. Disruptor shot huge on the left side, but the third base has been pulverized. 15 probes ripped to pieces. The Stalkers warping in not fast enough. And this Bio army still standing strong. That Liberator's still kind of holding this base split a little bit.
How many kills on that one Liberator? I feel like that Liberator has done quite some more. Like 5
this
kills.
one's got 5.
And that's all expensive units as well. It's not probes.
that wasn't the money Liberator that was directly on it, but it might be another mine shot here. Okay, does clean that up with the Disruptor.
I mean, the reinforcements are coming, so if DnS wants to have a chance, I think he needs to engage his army right here, right now. The longer he waits, the harder this will become. Yeah, extra Liberators showing up now.
Those next 2 Liberators, this is like a deal sealer. He won't be able to move between his natural and the third without taking extremely heavy fire, as these 2 Disruptors also still need to get amazing shots. He blinks forward, throws the Disruptor volley, gets a big shot on the southwest chunk of souL's army, so he's finally getting a good trade there that might be able to help him push this away. But with that mine still having its charge off cooldown, he needs to be extremely cautious about making that final dive.
He needs a massive shot. He needs to connect with pretty much everything. Oh, souL is just going to go for it and gets the Disruptor in the end as well for only a single Marauder moving forward. And these Liberators just make it so incredibly difficult for DnS.
4 Liberators engaging into this is borderline impossible. He steps to the right side. Widowmine takes a huge chunk as the Liberators kill all of the Stalkers. And the Bio will clean up damn near everything else. GG, a 2-0 victory for souL.
What a performance by this young Polish Terran, showing us that it's not all about nurture any laser. souL is here as well to participate. That was a very impressive performance for him on stage against a very tough opponent that is DnS. In both games, Nate, I think he was in a pretty rough spot, but he turned it around with some great counter-aggression.
Yeah. Not easy wins by any means. Definitely not clean games, but very scrappy and fun to watch as this young Terran player playing some great games to kick off day 1 here at WCS Valencia. Let's hear what he has to say.
Thank you very much, Nathanias. Congratulations, souL. That was a 2-0 for you, but there was so much going on in those matches. So let's first start with talking about Defender's Landing. In that first game, it felt like DnS had the advantage, but then you were able to come back and win the first game. So Just walk us through what happened.
Oh yeah, I think I should lose this game, but I think DnS got a bit nervous in this game and I could win at the end. But yeah, DnS is for me like the hardest opponent in my group, so I am really happy about that.
Well, we need to talk about game number 2 then, because it was also a similar situation where it felt like, again, he had the advantage. So do you think in this game as well it was a nerves situation?
I think the same, because like DnS is really strong at the standard things, but if I will do something different like random drops or something, he don't know what to do in that situation.
Well, let's talk about you, because I was looking at your match history, and you've been doing really well in the online tournaments recently. How confident are you at this tournament here in front of all these fans?
Not very confident, but we will see. I'm not sure.
All right, well, best of luck, souL, and congratulations with that 2-0. And it will be the Polish Terran that wins the first match of this event.
Bit of a rocky road there for souL, but he comes out with the victory to start things off in his group for the second group stage. Continuing on down the line, I'm here with Jeff and Todd once again here, and it did look a bit shaky there in that first game, Jeff.
You know what, James? You know what Rocky Road has? It's got turd nuggets of chocolate, and there was a little bit of chocolate in there. Right when he falls behind, a couple of Widowmine drops, gets 17 probes in one, 10 in the other.
Yeah.
It's like DnS was working against some kind of spectral being, something in the battle nets that just did not want him to win that. He had a commanding lead in that game too, and it just got taken away brutally.
By Widowmines.
By
the
Widowmines.
machines took over once again.
The frickin' robots, you're right.
They're coming for all of us. Coming for all
You know
of
what?
us.
John Connor, man, they talked about this. It was supposed to be 1999, but it could be 2017. But we had some other matches going on as well. We did see the other, I saw the other game going on. It was going to be, it was Risky versus Sort of.
That's true.
Sort of took care of business as the favorite in the group, I would say. Not by a whole lot, but by enough. He did put the young British person down 2-0. Turns out it's a lot harder to play StarCraft 2 at a live event than to just talk on Reddit. But Risky will now have to face off against DnS, who DnS is, he's gonna need to make a quick mental recovery, because that's actually something we don't talk enough about, but like he was ahead by a lot on Sequencer, and that's the game where he's like, okay, I'm gonna bounce back. Because game 1 was really cool. It was very back and forth, base tradey. But game 2, that's the kind of game that can like rock you through the tournament, where you walk away and you're like, well, I don't want to play anymore. I'm gonna go eat some paella or something.
Get paid out.
Paid out.
Well, of course,
pay it out.
There was another game going on with Todd. You had Minato going up against Uthermal, correct?
Yeah, and we can take a look at that here if you guys want.
Look at a replay.
Uthermal had a very solid game 1 and came out on top, and then we're in game 2 there. I'm just going to show you, guys, the last few moments. Uthermal, that was textbook Uthermal here. That game 2, he opened double barracks, Reapers, put on a lot of aggression, and then saw this big attack coming, which is pretty much an all-in, 21 walkers to 35.
Yeah.
So he went for double bunkers. At the same time, he was still being aggressive with the Reapers.
Oh, wow.
All he has to do there is hold, and I think the hold was pretty solid. Overall, like, he plays the SCVs really well. He knew that he had Medivacs on the way, adjusted as well, got a bunch of Cyclones. And at first, I thought this looked pretty scary. That's because I'm a Protoss, and I'd be dead scared of these Ravagers. But for a Terran player like Uthermal, this was no issue. Like, the first bunker gets blown up, and behind this, he's like, oh, you stepped inside of my base. Let me pull the boys real quick.
Pulls the linebackers.
Make Apollo happy and get rid of all these Ravagers and go on to the winner's match.
I don't know. He played Zerg for a lot, did Apollo, at the very end. Not so much random anymore. All the Zerg.
At the very end?
Yeah.
You mean before he lost his passion? Or?
I mean, he still has it, but just
last
behind
we saw him, he was playing Heroes, though, before he disappeared into the into the
he
ether.
Did do that.
So.
He did do that.
There's something
you
to it.
You say that to Kairos of all people. Is it?
But it's true, though, wasn't he?
A lot of people are playing Heroes, yeah.
Well, no,
he did.
Apollo is what I'm saying.
He did. He was rank 1, then he went down to rank 18 back in the previous system.
He was ranked above you. I think that was the whole challenge. He wanted to get ahead of you, so he got to rank 1.
But James always gets the last lap.
You were rank 3 at the time.
No, I was rank 1.
I'm pretty sure there's a screenshot out there where he's
Boys,
rank 1.
okay.
Never mind. Next match is going to be a French showdown. It's going to be Daishi going up against Stefano, something Todd knows very much about because he's French, correct, Todd?
Yeah, I guess.
Because you're French, and Todd's like, you got me. The secret's out.
Held to right.
This will be interesting. Daishi we have not seen in WCS this year. He has also graduated. I think he's like 25 years old, which means his bones are getting a little bit more crotchety. It's harder to play the StarCrafts. But then there's Stefano, the Immortal, who was a bit of a darling in the last WCS, where he's like, yeah, I'm going to do really well. He did hit that brick wall, but he was interviewed afterwards and kind of said, I'm proud. I did really well.
I mean, it was SouL that he got defeated by in the round of 16 overall. Anyway, we can talk about that matchup in just a few moments' time. For now, we're going to go to a short break here for WCS Valencia. And when we're back, we're going to have that French showdown in Stefano going up against Daishi.